Hello, grade 11s. We're going to finish off the lesson 7.4, which is reciprocal functions, by doing example 4 and 5. Example 4 is asking us to graph the reciprocal function of f of x. So what that means is f of x is the line, and I'm going to take the reciprocal of that line. So to do this, there's kind of 3 steps. Step 1 is we need to find the vertical asymptote. So to find the vertical asymptote, you always use the x-intercept. That's because here the x-intercept is at 3 and 0. And so if you flip the y value to become the reciprocal, you get 1 over 0. And that there is undefined. So that means that our asymptote is now going to be located where that x-intercept was. And we represent an asymptote with that dashed line. Step 2 is we're going to find the invariant points. So to find the invariant points, we're going to plot 1 and -1 on the graph. So where y equals 1 and y equals -1. That's because when you flip 1 and you flip -1, they don't change. So here's a y value of 1, so I'm putting a dot on the line. Here's a y value of -1, so I'm putting a dot on the line. Now those points are going to be on both the original and the reciprocal graph. Now step 3 is we need to plot more points. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take some points on the line. So for example, here's a point on the line. I'm going to call that 0 and -3. Maybe here's another point on the line. Let's call that 2.5 and -0.5. Let's take another point here. Let's call it 3.5 and half. 3.5 and half. Let's take another one maybe over here. Let's call that 6 and 3. Now each of these points we're going to take the reciprocal of. So the first one will become 0 and -1/3. The next one will be 2.5 and -2 when you flip the y value. This one will be at 3.5 and +2 when you flip it. And this one will be at 6 and 1/3 when you flip it. So again, you're flipping the y values. Now let's plot these. So my new point is at 0 and -1/3, so somewhere in here. My next one is at 2.5 and -2, so that'll be more like here. Same thing over here, we have 3.5 and 2, and 6 and 1/3. Now if you can see, both of these are kind of curving. So another little rule is that graphs hug asymptotes. So your graph here is going to want to curve toward that asymptote line and curve toward your x-intercept. Same thing here, it's going to curve toward the x-intercept, curve toward your asymptote line. So you end up with the blue graph there, going through your invariant points, some other points that you found, and hugging that asymptote line. Let's try another one. So this one, we're again starting with our vertical asymptotes. We're noticing here that there's actually 2 x-intercepts, which means there's going to be 2 vertical asymptote lines. So I'm going to put 2 vertical asymptotes in there where there were x-intercepts. Step 2 again is invariant points. So the invariant points, remember, are where y equals 1. So there's 2 of those. There's one over here and one over here, and 2 where it equals -1. That's a little squishy, a little hard to see. Right about there as well. Now let's take some more points. So I'm going to pick this point up here. This point here is at -3 and +5. This point over here is at 3 and 5. I'm going to take this point here, which is at 0 and -4. And now let's take the reciprocal of each of those. So this is going to become -3 and 1/5. This is going to become 3 and 1/5. And this has become 0 and -1/4. So let's plot those. 0 and -1/4 will be here. And I can see that I have these kind of 3 nice points there to make my new graph. On this side we have 3 and 1/5. Should be kind of down here. And over here we have 3 and -3 and 1/5. I'm just going to use a different color here so we can hopefully see where this new graph goes. But I'm going to hug the x-axis and I'm going to hug that asymptote. Same thing, I'm hugging the asymptote, hitting my points. I'm going to hug the x-axis. And here I'm going to make sure I hit all 3 points and then hug my vertical asymptote lines. So the yellow graph there is where it would be. So take some time here to work on the textbook questions as well as complete the quiz, and let me know if you have any questions. Have a great day.